Hey guys, welcome back. It's Jen with Happy Humble Home, and it's Friday, so that means it's time for the weekly update. But before we flash back to all that, go ahead, click subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell. And let's. All right, guys. So hey, we had church this morning and lunch and all. So now we're out here at the range shooting just for a little bit. As you can see, them three back there shooting. They got A, and then one's over there playing. So they're got a new 22 set up. It's Tittman 22 something. I don't know the official type of gun it is, but that's what we're out here up to today.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, put this sight between these two. Put this dot and these two dots, and put them on the target. Okay. And you're way high. You're way high. All right, now, whenever you want, pull the trigger. Wait. All right, stop. Quit fighting me. You see me? Come on, point the guns around. Point the guns around. Right, now. Pull the trigger, buddy. You ready?
Yeah.
And bye. In the head.
Alright, hey guys, so I've got this experiment going on. I wanted to know, I had read somewhere that you could preserve store-bought eggs by coating them basically in melted shortening, lard, something like that. I used melted shortening, and I did 3 coats on these eggs right here. Now, these eggs, I did it on May 14th. Today is June 22nd. I did on May 14th. I left them covered on my kitchen counter, and then I guess about a week or two ago I actually took the lid off just because I wanted to look, and I never put it back on. So part of the time they've been left on the counter like this, another part they have been covered with these airtight lids. Now, whenever these eggs were bought from Aldi, and before I even covered them, I made sure that they were very, very fresh. So you can see here I have my cup of water, I have my little thing of water. So if they sink, basically they're really fresh still. So we're gonna test this and see if it sinks. Okay, so still pretty fresh. Now, if you look, okay, but if you look, the outside of the shell has definitely got like some mold looking stuff on it, but like when I touch the egg, it's still sticky because it feels like it's covered in Crisco or something like that, which it is. So we're gonna actually crack these open here in a minute and just see kind of what they look like, how they smell. But according to the freshness test, it's pretty fresh still. So there's that one. Now this one looks a whole lot. First, let's test it first and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so you can see that one's sinks too, like it doesn't float back up or anything else. Now, one thing about this one, I'm gonna go ahead, and it looks a whole lot worse. This was the one that was on the bottom, you see, but I don't know if you can see on the camera. See those little eggs? Those little cracks? Because I think when I originally put this in the jar, like on May 14th, I think I cracked it just enough. But I kept it in there on purpose because when I wanted to see how fresh it still stayed, and according to the water test, it's pretty fresh. But you can actually see like the little cracks and all through there, because that is where it cracked and all. But we're gonna actually go ahead and crack these open too. And if you look in my jar, like it just looks like there's Crisco residue on the sides is all. Like it's just where there was Crisco on it. So the jar itself doesn't have any like mold spots on it or anything like that. It's just more of something that had oil on it, basically rubbed up on the side of the jar. So, okay, let's crack these. Alright, so we'll start with the one that's not near as dirty, and the first one that we tested. And we're gonna, like, looks like a normal egg. Doesn't have any kind of weird smell or anything. I mean, it's like a normal egg. Alright, and again, this one is the one that you can probably see a little bit better here, the cracks that was on it. But let's test this one. Okay, again, that one actually, like, they look like normal eggs. According to the water test, they was fresh and there's no smell or odor. Do you smell any different? You can answer.
No. Might.
Okay, so as you can see, even though the shells looked really bad, and I know for a fact that one did, because when I put it in the jar, I heard just a little bit of a crack on it, so I was like, that may like affect my test a little bit. But at this point, they was in the jar covered for a month, and then I let them without the lid on too. Once I started seeing the way the shells were starting to be, that's why I left the cover off, just to allow more air airflow maybe. But as I mean, even the inside of the shells look, I mean, they're not like all moldy on the inside of the shell, it's just the outside. That one you could see a little bit of the brown on the inside of the shell, but again, that's right where I placed it too hard in the jar and cracked it. So Sunday we went shooting and all, and then I did my little egg experiment. Now the way that I did that was I basically took vegetable shortening and I melted it down very low temperature because I didn't want it hot enough to cook my eggs or anything like that. So a very low temperature, just barely warm to the touch basically. And I dipped the eggs in it and coated them in it. And then I just kind of set them on a plate for a little bit to kind of let them firm up. And then I took like a paper towel and kind of buffed it. And you could see some spots that had been missed. So I recoated it. And then set them down for a little bit, buffed them again with a paper towel. And I can't remember if I did it 2 or 3 times. I think I did 3 coats on it. And then I just tried to gently set it in the jar. But as you've seen before, I kind of, was not as gentle as it should have been. But overall, I ate the eggs the next morning for breakfast. I just left them in that bowl, covered them, and put them in the fridge overnight, and I had them the next morning for breakfast, and they were good. They tasted like any other eggs that I usually eat. So I'm still kind of playing around with that for sure. I'm still kind of playing around with that. You know, I might try a few more and leave them to set a little longer, leave them without any lid on it to kind of set, or I may do something. I was talking with one of my friends and we was talking about it, and we might do kind of like what I do with my sourdough bread starter, is I just put like a cheesecloth or a piece of cotton fabric on the top, cover it so that way you still have airflow, but it's still covered so that way nothing can get in the jar. So that's probably what I'm going to try to do, but we shall see how that actually works. We'll see how that'll actually work. And that pretty much wraps it up. We've got a tournament this weekend, tonight, and tomorrow night will be a small baseball tournament, so I'll be having work just for a couple days. But that's pretty much, he's all snuggly. He didn't get his snuggles last night, I guess. But anyways, so that pretty much wraps it up this week. I may not have a weekly video coming up next week because we will be having some family come in town, so it just kind of depends on how that goes as to whether or not I try to get a video up before they come into town. And also, there's your warning, if you don't see a video next week, don't think I've abandoned the channel and all. But that pretty much wraps it up. So as always, if y'all have any questions or comments, or if y'all, especially if you've tried any kind of the preserving store-bought eggs, I would love to hear your method on that. What did or didn't work. So I will check in with y'all later. Have a good one.